Hello, and welcome to episode 143 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
I'm also joined by Trambamat. Say hello.
Ooh, I don't like that. No, hi.
Apart from that, how are you lovely gentlemen this fine, incredibly disgustingly warm evening?
I am fine, apart from being disgustingly warm.
Matt? I have no new input into this. I'm fine, apart from being disgustingly warm. But I have a glass
Are you
of nice...
disgustingly warm, dear?
What?
Are you disgustingly warm, dear?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I am. I just don't want to... I just want to be like,
You don't want to hop on the trend.
I want to be, like, special.
We're just going to have this this new corner of the podcast. Because,
we talk about our relative warmth.
Yeah, relative warmth.
And how we feel about it.
How moist and sweaty we all are.
Yeah.
Don't worry, tomorrow will be too cold, so, I mean...
I hope so. I've almost forgotten what it feels like to be cold.
Yeah, our flat is always far too warm. Anyway, apart from being warm, are you okay?
I'm completely fine. I had a fun day, which made me be a bit late for the podcast recording.
Yes, this is true.
And I haven't told Drummer Matt what I was doing.
Yep. No, what were you doing?
What would you like to guess?
Okay, so it was... This is a peek behind the curtains, but it was early evening, or at least it finished early evening. So that, now is it down to... That doesn't rule anything out for you.
No.
I thought this was going to be like an exercise, like you're fully going to go into your Sherlock mind palace.
Well, yeah, but Snipe could feasibly be doing...
no.
You could feasibly be doing anything between the hours of, like, 5 and 7 or whatever time it was that you were doing the thing. Like, you could have been sleeping, you could have been drinking, you could have been wargaming, you could have been... I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you 2 hints. It started at 2 p.m.
Okay.
And it wasn't with Wib.
Was it with other people?
Yeah, it was with another person, yes.
Another person. Were you... That's too long for the cinema. Were you playing some sort of game?
No.
Okay. Were you watching a thing?
No.
Were you...
Would you like me to spoil it? Because I don't think you'll ever get it.
Yeah.
I was doing shots with Wib's mum.
Yep.
Right.
This
okay.
Is absolutely.
We met up
at
at 2 p.m. because she finished work at 2 p.m. We went and got a coffee at a new cafe. Thought it was wank. Went up the road to one of the most haunted pubs in Derby. Had a bottle of Prosecco and a packet of crisps. Went and got a Greg's. We're classy bitches like that. Then I was like, have you ever had a frozen margarita? And she was like, no. And I was like, I'll buy you one. So we went and got a frozen margarita.
Yes.
And then we realised that TGI Fridays did 2-for-1 cocktails. So we went in there. Yeah, we went in there. And she was joking. She was like, oh, I'm so glad my husband's picking me up. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm fine, by the way. I'm not drunk. I was not drunk. I have not been drunk. Oh my God, the way I left your mother. We went into TGI Fridays and they had what's called a jelly, a jammy donut shot.
Right.
So we had a shot each, and it was like raspberry liqueur, Baileys, and cream. And it was like, when you drink something, you go, oh, this is nice. And then you get that heat in your chest, and you go, that was very alcoholic.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that. Wib's mum was basically drunk halfway through her, because she was sipping. We were just sipping on them because they were delicious. Halfway through, she was so drunk. And then I was like, do you want another one? She was like, oh, I daren't not go on. And she was like, no. And I was like, well, they're £5.50 each. So, do you want to just get... And she was like, I'll tell you what, how about I buy you 2? And you can have 2 shots and I'll have a double Baileys. And I was like, all right. And she was like, you're going to be drunk tomorrow. I'm like, no, I'm not.
You're way too Australian to get drunk.
She was joking the whole time going, you are so Australian. I remember when Wib, well, she didn't say Wib, but she was like, I remember the first date you and Matt went on. He came back and went, Mum, I made a mistake. I tried to keep up with an Australian. He was drunk the next day. And I'm like, I know.
I fucking was. I was drunk until about 2 p.m. the next day. I was at work. It was great.
Yeah, you were texting me going, honey, I'm drunk as fuck. And I'm like, I'm not. I wasn't even hungover.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and she orders me 2 shots and she's like, go on then, drink now. And I'm like, okay. And I drink them and I'm fine. I'm literally fine. And she's like, oh, I'm glad my husband's picking me up, bloody hell. And it was adorable. Because basically then we speed walked to a place to get picked up by her husband to get dropped off. But yeah, that's why I was late for podcast recording. Because I was doing shots with my husband's mum. Which was pretty boss, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I should probably go and send a message to my mum and say, like,
Get
am
well
I
soon.
allowed to use...
R.I.P.
Are we allowed to use that picture, the picture of you doing a shot? Because there is a picture of her doing a shot.
Literally, I was like, do you want to send your husband a picture? She was like, oh, let's be naughty.
Like, am I allowed to use that for podcast art? And just call the episode doing shots with Wib's mom.
And it's not even a joke, yeah. And she was like, we've got to do this next month. And I'm like, yeah, all right. Like,
You're going to be the death of my mother.
Hey, she's an adult. She knows what she's doing. We had a great time.
I think demonstrably she doesn't know what she's doing.
Well, she literally was like, I've earned this. I returned trousers that didn't fit properly.
Okay, as an anxious person, yeah, no, that's fair.
No,
actually.
she did. No,
Yeah,
she was like,
yeah.
no, we've earned this.
No.
And apparently, weirdly, I don't know where this was coming from. Like, this is not a bit. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. Everyone in her office that before she came out, she was like, going out with my daughter-in-law. Yeah, having a coffee. And everyone was like, oh, you'll be hungover tomorrow. And she was like, no, I won't. And I'm like, where did that come from? Do they just think I'm just this whirlwind of alcoholism? Am I? No, it's my mother-in-law who is wrong. But yeah, so that was fun.
Huh. So I'm quite happy because I think on my going through of the options that you could have been doing, I think the first one I suggested was day drinking.
Yeah.
But also I'm trying to work out if there's ever a realistic chance that I could ever be in the location of you two on one of your Tuesday day drinking sessions, because that would be hilarious.
You should definitely come and have shots with Wib's mum and I.
That would be great.
Because the thing,
everyone has shots with my mum except me.
Yeah.
Well, you don't drink.
This is true.
What you have shots of milk. It's fine.
Well, we don't want to exclude you because you're making the better choice here. But also, this is our thing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
your
including
thing
myself.
you all have with my mom.
Yeah.
You won't never party till you're partied with Wib's mum.
Oh, well, that sounds lovely, Snipe.
Honestly, it was lovely, and we had a big gushing. You know what she spoke about the majority of the time? How proud she was of you.
No.
I'm not even
She
joking.
must have been drunk, yeah.
That's before, well, no, I said that was before we were drinking, but she started out, this is how sweet Wib's mum is, with a hot chocolate. And then she was like, oh, should we be naughty? And I was like, I will literally drink straight vodka out of a boot. Yeah, fucking whatever you can do will not be as gross and horrible as something I've done. I've drunk hot water out of a radiator. You can't fucking kill me. I haven't. I'm joking. Please. I bet.
Isn't that a good way to get, like, Legionnaire's disease?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've never been to France.
I suppose that's a good point to ask Matt what he's been doing.
Matt, you've been to France and got Legionnaire's disease. What have you been up to?
Well, I've done none of these things recently.
You've what? No. What have you been up to apart from contracting Legionnaire's disease by drinking hot water from a radiator because the kettle took too long to boil?
How hot are your radiators? Anywho, I've been doing a little bit more Zelda. Nothing much more to add. I'm slowly getting into it a bit. Main thing I've been doing is there is a new series of Black Mirror. And
is that really?
Yeah, and I went into it mildly skeptical because I was like, well, there's a time and a place
Charlie
for these
Brooker's
sort of
not been
things.
there he hasn't been on the writing team for quite a while.
Oh no, he's still right.
No, he's still there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. It's just when it went to Netflix,
I'm
it
a
did
liar.
become slightly more Americanized, and I don't know. The last season 5, was fine, but like I was a little bit apprehensive going into this one. But it's flipping great, really good. It's 5 episodes rather than the more typical 3 that it seems to have been quite a lot of the time. And every single of the 5 is good. Like,
wow.
Unabashedly good. Like, not just like, oh, it was all right. Like, every single of the 5 was really good. And I think, and this is putting words into Charlie Brooker's mouth. I'm sure he's probably spoken about it, but the way that I'm interpreting it is that basically any horrifying techno story that he can come up with is basically already happening to us.
So, I mean, yeah.
Like, so many of the ones in the past have turned out to be true, or turned out to be tech that is now happening.
You mean the kind of stuff where it's like there was that episode where if you're not looking at the screen, the advert stops and screams at you and says you have to be actively looking at the screen, otherwise the advert won't play and it won't ever stop. Because I'm waiting for that to fucking happen.
It's already been patented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, kill me!
A whole bunch of other tech ones. The Prime Minister putting his dick in a pig, that happened too. Like, all of them basically seem to have come true. So this is my interpretation of it, but basically he's like, well, I can't get more horrifying than it is in real life. So they've moved away slightly from and a couple of the episodes are still vaguely that, but they've moved away from the what if technology, but a bit further in the future and worse. To just basically, there was just like 3 of the 5 episodes were just straight up horror rather than like tech. So I think Snipe, you would very much enjoy it.
Yeah, to be fair, like Charlie Brooker, when he has dabbled in horror, has done incredibly.
Yeah, and none of them
he did do Dead Set, but I'm so fucking sick of zombies. I don't care.
I always forget he did Dead Set.
Yeah, I did Dead Set. Yeah, which was basically anyone who doesn't know, it's like Big Brother, which was a UK reality TV show.
It's been all around the world.
I'm old. And I've been day drinking with your mother.
True.
It's like giving an excuse for everything in this episode.
Big Brother wasn't even originally British,
wasn't it?
And it got. I can't remember exactly. It was a European country.
It basically what would happen when Big Brother was running, zombie apocalypse happened. Basically, I've not seen it because again, I just don't give a fuck about zombies.
It even had Davina McCall in it.
Yeah. Oh, did it?
It did, excellent. Yeah.
She got zombified.
Spoilers.
Good.
And then she couldn't be on set that day, so they had a mannequin with a wig on it.
Yes.
Attacking the door. It was very fun. But yeah, no, I will check that out.
Yeah, there's that sounds pretty cool. 5 episodes, and a couple of them are still. I had the Wikipedia page up, but I've lost it now. Because the first episode is still a bit more like techie, but it's sort of
a bit like tech horror.
Yeah, it's yeah. And then, so episode... I'm not going to go... Because it's, like, newish out, I don't really want to go into what each episode is.
Yeah.
For spoiler reasons.
No, I get that, yeah.
But, yeah, episodes... One of them... that one's sort of techie, but it's not... Yeah, that one's a straight-up horror, and that one's... Yeah, so 3 of the episodes don't involve, like, technology from the near future or whatever. At all. They're just straight up, like, kind of horror shows. So,
cool.
Yeah, but really well done. I mean, I don't watch that much horror, to be honest. So
I do.
So I'll be interested to hear what you say. So my frame of reference is slightly off.
Black Mirror is one of those shows that I remember watching when it first came out and watched like the first couple of seasons of, and then I kind of fell off watching it and. Like, most of the time I see people talking about it now is in a fairly derisive way, so it's kind of nice to have a counterpoint to that.
It kind of became a bit of a, almost, I don't know.
I did see a lot of people kind of just, like, being like, oh, I'm not watching it anymore because it's just technology bad, and it's like,
it's like, what if...
You could take it as that, and, like, I fully understand that reading, but, I mean... That's
it was like people were saying, like,
what
if phone, but bad? What if internet, but bad? And it did. I still enjoyed it, but like I said, like the previous season to this, I was like, yeah, it was fine. We enjoyed it, but I was a little bit apprehensive going into this. But no, and because it's sort of anthology things, they're all completely. And there is a couple of in the background. There's a couple of like ongoing references between all the episodes. But
always fun.
Basically, that's not really in universe. That's just for the fans of the show to notice or whatever. But like all of the episodes are completely unconnected, so you could just, even if you only watch the first 2 BBC ones. Was it BBC or was it Channel 4?
I don't know.
Anyway, whatever.
I think
it was Channel 4. Anyway, whatever.
I just want to just have one thing where no matter what your feelings on Black Mirror, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was that story about that lesbian couple. It's like San
Junipero.
Junipero, yeah. That was fucking exquisite.
Yeah, I like that
and
episode.
Just remembering it makes me tear up because it was so beautiful.
Did you watch? There was the Star Trek-esque one.
Space Fleet. Yes, I have seen that one.
Of course, you have. You're a nerd. I say.
Completely unrelated to the Games Workshop game Space Fleet.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Even if you haven't watched any of the episodes or you've missed out at any point in the past, I recommend jumping in with this current series, and then
that sounds good.
Yeah, highly recommended. Really enjoyed them. And I think one of them was like, they're all like, because they're Netflix, one good thing of Netflix is that you don't have to make an episode as like an hour long or 40 minutes long or whatever. You can just make the episode as long as it needs to be to do the episode thing, which is quite nice. So some of them are a bit longer and some of them are a bit shorter. But yeah, highly recommended. I can't do too much of a deep dive, to be honest, because they've all got various twists and I don't want to.
Well, I will absolutely check it out, dude. Thank you very much.
Yeah, highly recommended. But yeah, that's basically us, to be honest.
Okay.
No.
T'other Matt, otherwise known as Web.
Hello.
What have you been up to?
A few bits and pieces. Not that much. In all honesty, not really.
You killed that guy.
I did not kill anyone. Legally, I must say that I have not killed anybody. Not even in Roblox.
Technically, yes, but legally, no.
I didn't stop him from dying, so technically... Oh my god, that's so gruesome.
But yeah, so I've not really been playing much in the way of video games apart from my continued bizarre thing of like seeing how many golden eggs I can acquire in Vampire Survivors. That has consumed far too much time. But I have got some things to just wrap up that I've spoken about before. Both shows that are on Paramount Plus, actually. Strange New World Season 2 has wrapped up. And yeah, that was good. A good season. There is a run of episodes that veer from like quite heavy, like real shit going down, and then like the most goofy ass episode next to it. So they have a crossover with the Lower Decks. So they have a couple of the actors who are the voice actors in the Lower Decks appear in live action as their characters, because fortunately they're physically close enough to them that they can get away with it. So that was fun. And then the next episode after that is about like horrific PTSD people living with after being involved in war. And then after that was the musical episode, so that was good. Strange New Worlds continues to be the Star Trek series with the best batting average of good episodes, since it has not yet had a bad episode in 2 seasons. Although, admittedly, there are only 10 per season, so it's short compared to like the old Star Trek series, which were syndicated, so they have 20 odd episodes per season, and they had like in the 90s it was. I think Next Gen had 8, and then Voyager and DS9 had 7 seasons, and then Enterprise had 4. So, it'll take a while for Strange New Worlds to even approach that level of like amount of episodes. So it's not 100% a fair comparison. But yeah, no, Strange New World's great. Love it. They also finally put up the last handful of episodes for season 1 of Transformers Earthspark, which is the current season they're doing, that for some reason they have been releasing in chunks of episodes months apart. Okay. I do partially know why, because I believe that they can do this is like related to how they pay people per seasons, is I think like why streaming services do silly shit like that. Which sucks, but and yeah, it ended up in a quite fun place. Although I will say, I think the show is a little like it is a little disappointing that you get to the end, and obviously it's a big fight thing at the end. But they kind of blew their load with one of the coolest fight scenes in Transformers halfway through the season, at sort of the right at the start of one of the the first break they had, like the last episode before they had a break, has just a very, very cool action sequence that everyone's like, oh yeah, could we have just been doing this all the time? Because this is rad as shit. And the ones in the later half just don't really match up to that. So even though it's not bad or anything, there is that tiny little thing where you're like, oh, I was kind of hoping we'd have another thing up to that kind of level to be the finale of it. Although there is a fun reference where one of the new Babby Transformers, who are Terrans, one of them like recreates one of the fun things that Megatron does in the really cool fight scene from earlier, where he uses his fusion cannon to like just pile drive someone into the ground from being in the air, basically to give him like the speed to do so. And she effectively does that, but does it to punch someone very hard instead. And it's like, oh, that's a cool little nod. But it's cute. It's fun. That was a bit of fun. I also went to see a gig, which I've not done in a while.
You did?
Because my dad just like called me out of nowhere and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see the Struts tonight. Do you want to go see the Struts? Because I've got an extra ticket." And I was like, "I've never heard what the Struts sound like, but sure." So yeah, I went to Rock City in Nottingham, which I've not been to for quite a while.
Fancy place.
The Struts.
Last time I went there, we played it.
Yeah, we know the Struts. The Struts are great. Mm-hmm. My brother was almost in the Struts.
Really?
Yeah, because he was Adam, the guitarist, is the guitarist from my brother's old band.
I didn't know, because I knew he was from Derby, but I didn't know.
Yeah. No,
I didn't actually know that. Okay, that's.
Oh yeah, no. We hang out with them quite a bit. Nice guys. Well, I mean, Adam and Luke are nice guys. I don't really know so much about. That's the guitarist and the singer. I don't know the bassist and drummer that much. What's his name? Geffen and someone else. I forget what the bassist's name is. But yeah, Adam's very lovely. The guitarist.
Okay,
But yeah, Nat could have been in them, but
okay.
Yeah, I was glad decided not to.
Yeah. It was a whole long and arduous thing. No, like beef or anything. Just he decided that wasn't what he wanted to do. But yeah, they're doing great now. Basically based in the States and doing massive in the States and pretty big over here. But like not, they're way bigger in the States. Weirdly enough, slightly playing off their Britishness, which is fair enough.
I will say the singer does appear that he was made in a lab to be a front man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is like the like if you picture in your head a band that is trying to evoke 70s rock music.
Yeah.
And he is the British lead singer of that band.
Yeah.
Think in your head what he looks like, what haircut he has, what his mannerisms on stage are, what his like his vibe. Sort of vibe is, and you have the picture in your head. That is him, exactly him.
Yeah, I mean the band's called Struts because of how he is on stage.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Do you enjoy him?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, they were pretty fun. It's not generally a genre that I'm super into, but I'm always down for live music. So yeah, that was a bit of a fun little different thing I did. Especially because I've not been to see a gig in a long time. Like just to go and see one. Like we've done the odd one where we've played like a one-off one here and there. But I've not just been to one in a while, so that was quite nice.
Oh, can I just interject here slightly?
Yes.
On top of gigs, we have a gig.
We do indeed have a gig.
It has been officially announced, but seeing as the band barely has any social media presence and we don't do gigs to advertise it, I feel like we could. If Matt is like, why haven't you advertised the gig? I was like, well, I mentioned it in the podcast. We have a gig in Leicester.
We do.
As our band, Fighting Evil is Cool.
Best
which
name.
Various people who listen to the podcast have probably listened to, seeing as it's the intro music.
Yes, it is the intro music that you've heard for pushing 150 episodes. Yeah. That is us.
We have a gig. It's a weekend like I say festival, but it's at one venue, but it's a weekend. What's the like? I don't know the best way for it. A festival, I guess, but not not like out in the field intense festival. It's just like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights at a pub in Leicester.
Yeah.
But they're all dayers. So we're playing on Saturday the 21st, I want to say.
Yep.
Off my head, I haven't prepped this because I wasn't expecting to tangent to it so quickly.
Professional.
October. Yeah, we're playing on Saturday the 21st. We don't know what time yet because they've announced the bands for each day. Have they announced the bands? They've announced that the gig is happening. I don't think they've technically released I don't think they've officially released the day
Matt,
splits
yet. Are we
yet.
even playing?
Yeah. Well, no, I just
are we even
aware
band?
Of like it's not exactly non-disclosure, but it's like officially they've announced the band's playing, but I don't think they've announced the day splits yet. Last I saw.
Okay.
But either way, we're playing on Saturday. So
yeah, it's at the Firebug, right?
Firebug, yep, in Leicester, and we're playing at some point. Keep an eye on. I guess the band's Twitter or whatever will update it, but I guess you guys can when we get a bit closer.
FEIC official.
Yeah, and I guess
like if on our Twitter as well.
When it gets a bit closer, and we know the final details. You guys can share it. But yeah, if anyone wants to come to Leicester and see us play music.
So if anybody wants to see how hot Drummer Matt is in real life, which I've had multiple people say to me, like, I didn't expect Drummer Matt to be so hot, and I'm like, I don't know what to fucking say to you, dude.
It's like we expected him to be a gremlin, but no.
No, that's my market I've cornered. Thank you very much.
But yeah, so we'll be doing that. We'll give more. Yeah, we'll have more information as the time comes. We will be debuting our mostly new horn section as well, if all goes well.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun.
If I don't kill one of them, like complimentary.
I don't know how that could be complimentary.
We're also playing
not because I hate them, but because we just have a weird vibe when we get together.
This is true. Yeah. This is true.
Yeah.
You were saying, Matt?
Oh, this is more for us chat than the podcast, but everyone else can have an opinion on it as well. So we've played. Mr. Wolf are playing.
Yes,
and they are also might be playing the Saturday, not officially, but they are. Last time we played with them, we took the piss and we stole their cover and then covered the cover that they do.
And they were like, "How dare you do it better than we do when we get drunk before we even play and they can't play properly?"
It was hilarious, but I don't think we should repeat that joke. But can we cover a different Mr. Wolf song? Would that be funny or would that not be funny?
I think that'd be fucking hilarious.
I think it would be very funny if we just played one of their songs and waited to see how long it took them to notice.
Yeah, right. That's funny in my head, but I don't know if it actually would be funny or if it would actually just be annoying.
I think what we should do is with every band that we know is that we should just start engaging in like this long-standing warfare where we all steal each other's songs.
No, I think we should just gaslight them and say that no, we wrote that song. How dare you? And then just basically absorb it until we're like the biggest band with all of the songs.
So that
Do you
song.
remember when we wrote Purple Rain?
Oh yeah, it was wild.
That was cool.
I just like the idea of like claiming to have written a Mr. Wolf song they wrote 20 years ago.
I love it. You said to the lead singer, "Hey dude, I saw you when I was in school," and he said, "Fuck off."
I was in college. I wasn't in school.
I think I told him afterwards it was school, and he told me to fuck off twice.
Okay, I think it was my first year of college, so it was right after school.
There you go.
To clarify, we're very good friends with this band.
We are very good friends with them, yeah. So it's fine.
It is fine.
We're back to what you've been up to.
Oh yeah.
Back to you in the studio, Wib.
I probably should mention. I've finally started going to fucking counselling. So that's fun.
I'm really proud of you, and I think more people would benefit. I think pretty much everyone would benefit from going to counselling, because there are so many things that in the modern day that are fucking terrible and awful, and unfortunately, what happens to us is not our fault. But dealing with the fallout from that, unfortunately, is our responsibility.
It turns out it didn't take long for my therapist to be like, so it seems like you're just really mad about everything all the time, and you don't really know how to express that. And I'm like,
fuck you! sorry.
Oh no, that's the problem. I can't say fuck you.
You were like, that's an interesting observation.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I guess I should probably say that if say you happen to see me on Twitter or whatever, or I guess hopefully we can manage to migrate to Blue Sky or something that's better.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you happen to see me and I seem more angry than usual at any point, that's good for me.
That's like complimentary.
That's me actually doing things that I need to be better. You probably won't see that, but if you do, that's why. And don't worry. The only other thing I've really got to mention is that I've for my birthday, because it was my birthday last week.
Happy birthday! Even though I said happy birthday and I got you a card and stuff.
You did.
Yeah.
So when I was a little kid, I had a train set that my granddad built for me, and it was a lovely thing. But for the last quarter of a century, it's just been in storage because my dad's not had anywhere to kind of have it out, and I've not had anywhere to kind of have it. But I've been really wanting to actually get it repaired because it's been in storage for so long. Some of it's not in a good state. I really wanted to restore it, even if I can't get things back to normal. And to this end, for my birthday, my dad did buy me a little starter modern train set, so I would have some nice, clean, modern track and a power supply and controller thing. And a working train. So I'd basically have a thing to test everything against, so I would be able to actually get all this stuff fixed, or at least try to. And yeah, so I've started that. Sorry?
A control.
A control, yeah. Sort of control. Yeah, have something to control against. And yeah, so I've been messing around with that. And my first thing was I went through and dismantled, cleaned and reassembled a handful of freight rolling stock, and so that all rolls nicely now because it was a bit slow because there was obviously dirt and grime in the axles. And last night I got my first train working because all the trains I had were not working. Some of them made a little bit of a sputter of life when you put them on the track, but they just needed this one just needed a dismantling, thorough cleaning and reassembly, and it's a bit ropey sounding and may not have the best performance, but I have a vague recollection of it kind of always being like that, even when I was a kid. So that's been really nice to get those things working again. I've had a few moments where I'm just watching a train going round,
just chilling.
Pulling the old stock that I had from as a kid, and hearing the sounds of it doing the chunk over the track, and being kind of teleported back 30 years, which has been quite pleasant. Just oh
yeah, your dad's been pretty hype about it as well.
Yeah. To the point that we are going to a model railway convention in November. My other brothers were asked if they want to come, but since they are much younger than me and they never had experience with train sets, I believe their responses were
fuck and no.
Why the fuck would I want to go to that boring shit? And me and my dad are we do.
I think joking aside, I think it's cool to like what you like.
Yeah, there has been a funny thing because I've been because of restoring this stuff. Because obviously I get old Warhammer miniatures and I restore them back to tabletop readiness. That's just a hobby, and so obviously there's some of those skills that do transfer over, but because it's working with electronics and things like that, there are different things, different skills to learn. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of people dismantling these things to, figure out how to do it and what's the safest sort of way to go about these things. And I have encountered one quite fun thing, which is that a remarkable amount of model train like YouTube channels are just run by some old bloke. Like, it'll just be some guy, and you're like, oh, they sound pretty old, and then their hands come into the shot because it's like, you know...
And it's like skeleton.
And it's like, you can see like, oh shit, this guy's in like his 70s or 80s, and it's just quite...
That's really sweet, actually.
It's quaint, yeah. I did see one that was like some bloke, and he was talking about his like micro setup that he got, because this is a very boring thing, but... most trains, like bigger trains, are said to only be able to run on third radius curves, which are quite wide. But in reality, most trains will actually run on much tighter track. They're just not guaranteed. Not everything can run super good on it. So I'm going to be grabbing some first radius track because I've got bugger all room to test stuff, let alone have a like setup out, which is out of the question at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
But I was seeing someone talk about their like little micro scale thing. I was like, oh, okay, that's useful for me to know, because I know what sort of space I can have to test things and to mess around with things. Cool. And then I found out that channel is co-run with this guy and his like young son, who is remarkably together as a host. I was quite surprised. I was like, oh yeah, and like I saw a video where he was talking about dismantling. It was actually one of the trains that I was like dismantling, and he was like, yeah, thank you for everyone saying nice things about my presentation style. A lot of you have said that I am much better than my dad, so that's fun.
Rude. Mean.
Yeah, no, it's a very quaint hobby, and even on YouTube, it's, you know, there's obviously big channels who are more professionally and slickly run, and, you know, people who have got obscene setups and things that are like beyond what a normal person can make. But there's just lots of like very attainable hobbyists, like, you know, where you look at it and you don't go, oh, I'd never be able to build that. You go, that's impressive, but it's also, I can see what you've done, and I could totally do that. And I you know, we talk about this all the time with Warhammer stuff, where these days, whilst Warhammer community, to their credit, does, when they have people in the community paint stuff for them and they show it off, there is a pretty wide range of like skill levels that they tend to ask people, and I do really appreciate that. But like the old codexes used to just have painting guides where it would be basically how I paint, which is attainable to anyone with a bit of time and patience, because it's just flat colour, you wash in the recesses, give a highlight.
I would say that's not true at all. You are a very good painter, and it's like anyone can sculpt, like, you know, the old masters. You just have to do it a lot. It's it's more kind of like that's a more common thing you'll see on like a lot of game tables.
What I'm trying to say that is that the techniques that I use are ones that are very simple to pick up, and then it is just a matter of refining them. Whereas when you get to the really high end stuff, that involves techniques that are really hard to master and are quite hard to even get on board with. Whereas when stuff is presented in a way that's like aspirational but attainable, I think is really like positive, you know?
Yeah, the miniature next door.
Yeah, it's like like whilst you know, I can accept that I'm not a bad painter or anything. I'm pretty decent.
I'm not picking a fight.
But you know, I don't think there's many techniques that I have that are like advanced. It's just I've got quite good at some of them, and you know, I think that's a thing that, you know, obviously if you've got, you know, motor issues and things like that aside, you know, if you put the time in, then yeah, you can get those results quite easily. And I think that's cool to have that as like to be out there, because I don't know, I find it more inspirational to see something that is imperfect but attainable than to see something perfect and unattainable, you know? Or at least that's how I feel.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, so I've disappeared down the model train hole. Who knows when I will escape. I have a lot more trains to fix.
No, just before, like, stop asking him if he's going to make Warhammer trains.
I am not. No,
because sometimes two hobbies are just two fucking different hobbies.
These are two separate things. I don't know. I kind of just I like my old British trains.
Yeah.
I'm 37 years old now, and once you reach around that age, you're reaching the point at which you've got to pick your old man specialization, and
either being racist, liking trains.
You see, I was going to go with getting really into military history or getting into model railways.
I said what I said,
and I'm definitely more of a train guy than a military history guy. Mm-hmm. So Yeah. That's sort of what I'm doing. But that's about it. I'll hopefully have some. I've been showing stuff off on Twitter. I would be showing it off on Blue Sky as well, but it doesn't have video in it yet, so I can't. And I am hoping to put together some videos, sort of showing off what I've done on YouTube as well.
Because you've done good.
Because it's an important thing with a lot of sentimental value to me. I did kind of want to catalogue what I've been doing a little bit. It's very janky the way I filmed it all, because it is just filmed on the fly on my phone. But hopefully it'll do something that might be fun to people. And again, I'm doing this like as someone who doesn't know what they're doing getting into it. So hopefully, maybe that will be like cool for people who maybe are in a similar situation to me, who like have, say, an old set and are like, oh, I'd like to get it out again, but it doesn't really work. What can I do? You're thinking that was a penis.
What?
Right.
You're the one
gonna get it out again, but it doesn't really work because it's a bit old now, It's a penis thing.
No, I didn't bring up penises. You did.
Yeah.
No. Drama. Tell him off and get him done. He can't get done again.
But yes, and Matt, if you want to play with my model trains the next time you come over, you can play with my model trains.
Yeah, thank you.
But I shall now pass over to Snipe.
Hi.
So apart from getting drunk with my mum, what have you been
I
doing?
didn't get drunk.
Well, okay, apart from getting my mum drunk.
Okay, she is an adult and chose her own path. Apart from watching your mother get drunk.
Apart from enabling my mother getting drunk,
I
what have you been
I'm
doing?
even an enabler. She paid for everything. I don't know. I was there. I was bearing
Would she have been
witness.
sat getting drunk if you weren't there?
You don't know that.
I'm going to say that I think that's pretty guaranteed that it would not be the case. So you are culpable on some level.
Well, she seemed pretty chill and happy about it.
It's a good thing, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's good to let your hair down every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing a couple of things. I watched a movie.
You watched a movie?
That I have been looking forward to watching for quite a while. See, I wanted to...
Oh, shit, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because Remlay's had to dash, so I couldn't go into how Across the Spider-Verse is now my new hyperfixation, and I'm fucking in love with it, and it's incredible, and it makes me want to be a better artist. I cried through the entire thing. It made me want to be a better man. Etc. But just... I've said it now. But yeah, I saw Renfield. And
what?
I Renfield, the movie with Nicholas I can't remember. He's an English actor, I think.
Yeah, he played Beast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult. Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
He is chewing the fuck out of the scenery every second.
It was perfect. I absolutely fucking loved every minute of that, because we went round to your father's house.
Yes.
And decided to have some dinner, and they asked, what do you want to watch? And I said Renfield. And they were like, okay.
Because my dad just has every movie all the time.
Yeah. And I didn't know, but I had Shore Agdashlu. I can never say her name properly.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it out loud.
I've probably butchered it, and I feel bad. But
she played Avasarala in The Expanse.
She played Dr. Rao in X-Men 2, the movie. She also played Dina Madani's mother in the first season of The Punisher. She is a lady with an absolutely incredible voice. It's like whiskey drizzled over smoke.
Yeah, she's got this real
she's got a
deep, gravelly voice.
Her voice is incredible. And she was in it as well, and I'm like, well, this is the best fucking movie I've ever seen, quite frankly. And it's about Renfield going to support groups for people in codependent relationships. So it's kind of a dark, gory action comedy set in New Orleans. And it's fucking great.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it other than it was about Dracula and Renfield going into it, and so what the actual plot was and how the movie is and all the action sequences was a complete surprise, and I'm just like, oh. It's
lit like a bread tube video, and I love that.
Oh yeah, good, lovely
really
lighting.
Love the lighting, they're fantastic. I'd say the only thing I didn't really like about it is the fact that they had a lot of CGI blood. They had some real squibs in there though, which was cool, but yeah, a lot of CGI blood, but honestly, it was really funny, it was really visually exciting. Nicolas Cage. Do I even need to say that man is incredible, like absolutely top notch.
I really like the bits near the start where it's like telling the backstory, and they use some of the shots from the 1930s Bela Lugosi Dracula movie,
and they have it in 4:3,
and in 4:3, and like impose in the new actors to like tell the backstory as if it's sort of a continuation of the original movie in that regard, but like yeah. I don't know, I really appreciate that, sort of taking a nod to the old Dracula movie.
I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Can recommend. If you're a fan of Nicolas Cage, you'll think it's great, because I mean there are two types of people in this world: fans of Nicolas Cage and people I can never trust. Yeah, that was incredible, and I thought it was very funny and awesome. Yeah. The other thing I've been doing, my brother was a little shit, and he bought me Baldur's Gate 3. Now, little known indie game, you'll have probably never heard of it.
Little known game.
They did the shocking thing of putting like queer representation in it, and didn't nickel and dime people with DLC and extras and shit, and everyone's going, holy shit, video games are awesome, when they're not being basically so the video games industry is industries in general are fucking despicable and awful and bad, and I don't think there's going to be anyone in the comments going, oh, you hate capitalism and yet you participate in it. I am very intelligent. But let's be honest, I'm just going to telepathically give them the derision they deserve in the past. But yeah, and like Larian, I really love them as a developer. I absolutely fucking adore Divinity Original Sin 2. I spent hundreds of hours in that game. It is fucking phenomenal. Which is why I kind of, like, when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, I was like, I don't really care about Baldur's Gate, but I do now, because Larian's involved. I love their combat system. I love, like, the interweaving plot lines and all the little bits and like, how they write stories and how they write characters and everything. And guess what? I was right to look forward to it, because it's fucking awesome.
Because, it's been in, like, early access for, like, 3 years or something, which is why...
Yeah. But then it had the official release, like, a month... No, it was less than a month.
A couple of weeks ago,
Yeah, recently, yes.
Yeah. So quite recently. And,
it's
my
refreshing
brother...
as, like, not, like, releasing a game that's all, like, broken and, like, day one fixes to not fix it and all this sort of nonsense.
And being like, well, if you wanted to play the Bard class, maybe you should have bought the £800 pre-order. Yeah, nothing like that.
I mean, because there has been a discourse around that. But yeah, it should be nice. It has been in early access for 3 years, so it didn't come out without needing day one patches. Well, without needing like hefty patches, like out of nowhere. They had done that.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it, like, right?
Well, I mean, like, I just really like what they've done. Like, it's really cool because, okay, I'm going to talk about genitals right now for a little bit, very quickly. So, literally, you can have, like, the identity, like, male, female, non-binary, which I'm like, oh, fuck. The government of the country, emphasis on the first syllable there, won't acknowledge that I fucking exist, but this video game does, and that's nice. You're like, regardless of the frame you have, you can have either genitals. And there's a selection.
there is a selection of different cocks, balls, and vag that are available.
Oh no, because a vagina is the more internal part. They refer to it as a vulva, which is actually accurate.
It's just I heard it described to me in that way, and it's wedged in my brain.
Before
now.
anyone gets excited about being able to like mix and match dicks and balls, it's just dick and balls together. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But apart from the dick and or balls, you do have like a nudity thing you can turn on and off, like if you're streaming it or whatever. At like the beginning.
Yeah.
But it starts out pretty hardcore, not dissimilar to Divinity Original Sin 2. With complimentary, I'm not complaining. You actually like roll a D20 in this as well. It comes up and it's like this is what you're testing. Like, and like, you know, in dialogue it goes, oh, do you want to like deception, persuasion, you know, stuff like that, and it shows you what bonuses you have. It's got it like the character sheet is just a D&D character sheet.
I did mean to ask actually, because I know like the previous Baldur's Gates did just run on old
AD&D.
I'm not sure which edition.
I don't know either. I'm just guessing.
It's been a long time since I played any of the original Baldur's Gate. But I assume this one is running on 5th edition?
I think so, because it's fun. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't care for AD&D. And I've said it now. Because if I don't like something, that means that everyone else has to stop enjoying it if they like it. So, you know, I'm being pretty cruel. But no, like all that kind of stuff. And you've got like, oh God, like I've got 2 characters. I've got Nathan, obviously. Oh no, I have 3. I have Hela. Everyone will know Hela, my half-elf paladin. I have Nathan, my human warlock. And I have Jacka, who is a character who's from my WoW role-playing days, who is a half-orc monk. And I just keep wanting to start up a new character and play through, because every time I do, even if I think I'm doing the exact same things are different. And I'm like, oh, this is why I love Larians so much, is because they do. It's like it's properly. It's kind of how you think a really good D&D session should be, where it's like there is a place you need to get in for treasure. There are 4 ways in, and if you're geared more towards like a charming character, you got a high charisma, you could probably talk your way in there. If you're a sneaky character, you could probably sneak in there and pick a lock or 2. You can it's like, you know, you can bribe people. You can steal, like, you can pickpocket stuff. Oh God, it's so cool. And I've just been thoroughly enjoying myself, and I'm really curious as to see where it goes, and I can't wait to see the sex scenes. It's going to be really interesting. Also,
I
know druids can fuck people, and we're talking about bear fucking. Yep.
Okay, can I just say this 100% happened, and I will relay it as it occurred. I was sat in the kitchen, drawing. I hear a flurry of footsteps because, like, our kitchen and our living room, or where the computer is and where we do all our work, are like next to each other. I hear a scurry through the hallway. The kitchen door flies open, and it's Wib, shirtless, hair mussed, and a crazy look in his eye.
That is just how I enter the kitchen all the time, though.
Yeah, but it's also...
It's really fucking hot, okay?
It really is. It really is hot, actually. Anyway, moving on. And he goes, when were you going to tell me? And I go, I'm sorry. And he goes, that you can fuck a bear in Baldur's Gate 3. And I was like, I thought you knew it. He was like, no, I did not know. Why didn't you tell? I was like, I don't know. And then he just storms off, and I'm like, what happened? Because, they released a quick thing of, like, our Astarion, who's the smarmy white-haired elf, who... I love it how Larian came out with stats that 70% of players had been rejected by him. Because he's a very snobby elf, don't you know? He, like, literally, I was like, could you wait in camp? I've got to go with like the other, like this other warlock. And he's like, oh, darling, I thought we had something special. Well, go away then. And I'm like, oh, fuck you! I am gonna bone this elf. No. I'm gonna, because with my, oh god, what? I can't remember the game where Pavi's from.
Soulbound.
My Soulbound character, Pavi Odina. She is a horrible person, so she's going to be my boast for bedding Astarion, because she's horrible and he'll love her, because she's nasty and mean. And that's very, very Astarion. Like, literally everything I do Astarion is like, oh, you bore. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't kill children. He's like, oh, what are we? The morally correct belief. Well, he's not that.
He's like, oh, political correctness gone mad. Can't even burn down an orphanage.
He's got his own
The wokerati have got to you.
I mean, to be fair, no. No, but yeah, no, he's not that bad, Jesus Christ. But, like, there's loads of little things. It's like, I went through the exact same, and I had him in my party with a different character. And, like, the first night, because you have short rest and long rest at a camp, I went for, like, the first night I went for a long rest with one character, a thing happened with him. And then when I went for a long rest with a second character, a completely different thing happened. And I was like, oh my god, I haven't done anything differently. I've spoke to him about the same. Oh, this is interesting. Ooh. So I'm literally my friend Violet, who I will give an update on the podcast we're doing. We've with a bunch of, like, you know, illness and kids being off school and stuff, it's been delayed, but don't worry. I think the next time I'll talk about it, it'll be when it's out.
This is your cryptid
This is my cryptid podcast, yeah, with my friend Violet. We've literally been just texting for like a week going, oh, we could be playing Baldur's Gate 3. And like, I made Nathan and she made her D&D character Talus from the MisanthroPod. I'm sure a lot of you remember. And we've just been sending pictures back and forth going, this is what Talus is doing. And I'm like, oh, no, this is what Nathan's doing. He's probably drunk because that's what he does.
It is a perfect venue to remake your D&D characters in, because it is cool. A D&D game.
It's so fun.
Although I do want to issue, I do have one big complaint.
What?
You cannot make a goblin.
I'm wondering now, because Larian are usually really good long term taking care of their players. Because Divinity Original Sin 2 was still having free updates with like cosmetics and stuff for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised if, because it's like it's the most concurrently played game on Steam, they've made fuckloads of money, and rightfully so. Yeah. I'm sorry, they've earned that money. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, oh, by the way, now we're gonna unlock Tabaxi, changelings, and goblins. I would not be surprised if they just kind of added extra like races or whatever.
I would like to be able to.
I would like, because you need to make normal.
Also, it would be nice if they put in Kenkus, because I think you could do a lot of. I think it might be a little difficult, but I think
that would take so much time.
I think you could probably work quite a good thing of like having. It would be difficult to like work out how to make their responses work, but I think if you can make it work, it would be like in, because so the reason why I had such wild excitement about being able to fuck a bear was not because I want to fuck a bear.
Yeah, sure, okay.
But it's because that is illustrative of the type of freedom that all the best RPGs allow, where they let you do the silly shit that you go, I wonder if I could.
A lot
and the
of
answer is yes.
people might think that in that love scene, if you're a druid, you have to be wild shaped into a bear to get fucked by Astarion. That will not be the case. With Larian, it will be like, it'll be an offhand thing that, say, Astarion will say, like, oh, you don't suppose you want to be in bear form? And then you could go, well, maybe. You into that? And it'll be an option.
Or you just go into the conversation in bear form and they're just like, whatever.
Well, the thing is, if you're in bear form, you can't speak common. You can't speak any language, which is what, and he can't natively talk to animals. So, and
there'll be shenanigans.
There are shenanigans that would make it work, but at the same time, also, not really a spoiler, but I met a dog called Scratch.
Good.
And you can talk to him, and he's lovely. He's very nice. And if you don't have talk to animals, you can still kind of get him to go back to your camp. You can pet him, and it's not just a pat. It's you put your hands on the side of his head and scruffle him, and he's like, and I'm like, that's how you pet a dog. I love it. And I think one of the descriptions for thing is like pet all the dogs. I can't remember what it is, but like
what, like an achievement?
No. Like it's literally like a description for like talk to animals or something. It's like you can talk to and pet all the dogs or something like that.
Oh, like the abilities.
Yeah, it's silly,
okay.
but it's cute.
Yeah.
I still haven't really figured out like I used Mage Hand once to get like a cursed book away from a panel, and I was like, well, that's fine because you can have it in like just what's the word? Like real time, or you can at any time enter into turn-based mode, which makes doing certain things like pickpocketing or whatever a lot easier. And you can turn that on and off at any time, which I think is actually really cool, especially if you want to get your bearings and kind of figure stuff out. But yeah, I really enjoy the combat. I've put it on easy because Larry, I would say if this is your first Larian game, put it on the easiest mode because the combat is quite challenging. And you get more health on the harder difficulty, on the easier difficulty. Whereas if you put it on the medium difficulty, you tend to have more realistic health.
Yeah.
So instead of like having 30 health at level 2, you've got like 12. So it's kind of, it can be a bit tricky. But like even with that, it's challenging, but it's also you feel like you've achieved something.
Yeah.
And it just oozes the D&D feel. And I love that feeling of just, I can just be a twat. And like there's a goblin fortress that I just decided to kill everyone in, which you can. If you choose to do that, you can do that. And I did. And like...
Bit racist, but okay.
They were all bad. Not because they were goblins.
All right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, mister, I want to fuck a bear. The bear can consent. Okay. There's literally a goblin pacing back and forth on lookout, doing affirmations. I'm worth it. I can achieve my dreams. And I'm like, oh my god, that is such a fun little thing.
I think one of the things...
It's just a nice little thing that makes the world feel... And like, I love the way Larian write. I love the way they world build. I'm really enjoying it.
I think whenever a game manages to capture a little bit of this, it always does well because I feel that when you get right down to it, all role-playing video games have, since their inception, been just trying to
be
capture Dungeons and Dragons, or more specifically, to capture the experience of playing the freedom and experience of playing a tabletop role-playing game. They are trying to capture that in one form or another. And so whenever a game gets very close to it... Yeah. Because obviously... they can,
it's impossible to actually do it because, Christ almighty, there's so much. But, like, I would say they've done really well. Like, the game is, like, quite big. It's, like, 100-odd gig.
Oh, it was, like, 120 gigabytes, yeah.
Yeah, like... And it's, like... I don't begrudge that because there is so much. It's like anyone who plays Divinity Original Sin 2 will always joke about like there's just like the in-joke of because the first place that you actively go to that isn't the starting area is called the Joy. It's Fort Joy. Yeah. It's a prison island. And like the amount of people who are like, I spent 40 hours in the Joy. And it's like, and people are like, and it's like, and you don't even try to dawdle. You just try and absorb as much as you can. And boom, you've spent 40 hours without knowing it.
If a good role-playing game is not just a time sink because the amount of content that's there, it's because you want to experience that world and you want to kind of get involved in it. And that's
a problem I was having because I spent 2 hours in character creation when I first booted it. I'm not no word of a lie. It was just over 2 hours in character creation, and then like you kind of have choice paralysis, which I had to say something negative about it because like I'm sitting there and I'm panicking, going, I'm not experiencing everything, but then I like, well, no. But that's okay, because then I can roll another character that's completely different to this one and have an absolutely, like, just have such a different experience with them, even if I do similar things.
Well, I think you have that with an RPG, like a tabletop RPG, whereas when you play a new system, you're like, oh, well, I want to have, like... if I pick this character, then this type of like character class, then I won't be experiencing this whole other part of the game. And like, oh, what if I don't? But it's like, well, yeah, because you roll at multiple characters, and it's like because we've
as a serial character roller,
because we've all played like multiple D&D like characters. Whenever we make a new one now, it's just like, oh, what silly bullshit can I make now, as opposed to like trying to worry about like, oh, is this going to be like, how's this going to work? Like, oh man, am I going to get like a good experience? It's like, oh, how can I make something that's a bit weird and interesting with the system?
I've had an idea for a warlock character. I was going to have like, because I know I've already got a warlock with Nathan, but I kind of tend more to like kind of headcanoning him as more like a blood mage. Whereas with this one, what I want, shall I spoil it? Because it's just my character idea. I wanted to have a tiefling with like a I can't remember, like with like a fae or whatever. I can't remember the type of patron that's their mum, and they just give them stuff, and they're like, they show up and they're just an overbearing mum, and they're like, darling, I brought you your special magic book. I brought you your magic weapon. Mum,
with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I was like wanting to do, and just have like this gigantic fucking demonic like woman show up and just be like, darling, have you eaten today? How about I bring you some nice infernal chard, like that for you and your little friends. And it gets really
awkward when another member of the party goes out and does shots with her. And...
No, that doesn't get awkward. Like, are you saying your mum is? You know what? She is pretty badass. So, yeah, fine, okay. But yeah, no, it's like that's just kind of the thing. It's like I've seen so many people who like when I'm not going to get too into it because it's gross. But when the topic of half-orcs come up, people can get a bit gross and weird.
Yeah.
I will, if I ever have a half-orc, it's like a man who fell in love with a fucking giant green woman and have a beautiful home, and they dote on their little one. And that's like everything for me. It's like someone fell in love with a gigantic orc.
Well, I mean, that's
and had a cute little baby.
There's a lot of weird essentialism about like D&D class, like races and stuff. Because I have the whole thing with like, like it's always weird to me. It's like, oh yes, so like you make a goblin, most of them are evil, and you're like, I don't like
the whole, oh yeah, no, genetically they're evil. It's I appreciate gameplay-wise, but also that's a bit fucked.
This race has a predisposition for evil. Yeah, I'm not actually okay with that.
White people exist, for fuck's sake. Someone's gonna get mad at me for that. But yeah, no, I always like, it's like, nah, just let me play as any old thing, which I think, Planescape let you play as basically enemy races, technically. I can't remember, but yeah.
I don't know, I keep meaning to try Planescape.
I've heard it's fantastic, and I do want to try it. But like, yeah, and I just... I'm having a lot of fun, like just like I kind of like just talking about the character creator again. Because there's like the sub races of like tieflings, like the Mephistopheles tiefling and stuff like that. You can have those, and then you go to like skin color, and there is the kind of what is typical.
The canon,
and then you click. There's a button that says show all colors, and then you can just have whatever you want, which means you can have like
a green tiefling.
Yeah, or you can have a human with black sclera and like flaming eyes. And that can just be part of your character. You can be like, well, my character. And it's like, which is like what I love so much about D&D and tabletop role-playing games in general is that, and what I think is portrayed incredibly well with Baldur's Gate 3 is that you talk to every character and they all have, they all feel like a D&D character. They're like, okay, this is this person, but there's this going on behind the scenes and they're actually doing this. They've all got a driving kind of thing. They've all got their own problems, and I'm like, I love this. This is so cool. It's really fun, and like you. My friend Violet, she rolled a thief because she was playing Talus. She got caught and put in jail, where they confiscate all your things. So they confiscated her underwear.
So
she goes back.
That's a very different kind of jail, I'm going to be honest.
She goes back to camp and sleeps for the night. She has a dream sequence, and because when you're at camp and you're sleeping, you're in your underwear, and she's just got her tits out talking to this spiritual apparition, and she's like, I see.
Yes.
And like Violet was like, it kind of ruined it a little bit, but then again, that is kind of Talis. She is very kind of nudity, whatever, because she's like she's a wood elf, so. And I was like, that is so funny that like the Groves have stolen your underwear and you forgot to get it back. And like you can change
ACAB, especially the underwear cops.
I do not like the underwear cops. They keep my elves naked. What if it had been Nathan? They would have let him keep his underwear. But no, like you can literally, it's equipable and unequipable. And if you mouse over it, there's a character called Shadowheart who's a half-elf cleric. And you mouse over her underwear and it goes, ooh, if underwear could brood. Because she's like... Yeah. She's all like, oh, I smolder with like...
generic rage.
Generic rage. Well, not really, but... And Astarian's is, if you can read this, you've either managed to bed me or kill me. Either way, you got lucky. And I'm like, oh, you idiot slut. It's so silly. But that also means you can change your like at-rest gear if you encounter it. There is also armor dye and like clothing dye, which you can apply and stuff, which I really like.
Means you can have your character's vibe show through a little bit more rather than just, well, I'm wearing this armor because that's the best armor available.
Yeah. So you can just dye, and it literally is just a like right-click combine and then drag and drop, and that's it. It does bug me how that you can't see what it looks like. You can't preview it before you spend it, which is a little bit annoying, but at the same time, it's fine.
When you've got a game with that many moving parts, like...
Yeah, no, I don't mind it so much. But no, I have honestly been having... so much fun with it. In case you needed another voice to tell you, if you were wondering, if you love D&D, if you like Divinity Original Sin 2, you will fucking love this game. If you like D&D, or if you've ever been curious about playing D&D, this is a pretty good kind of feel about it. Honestly, obviously, it's not going to be as and like somebody's going to try and seduce the Rock, but like,
I do wonder because I have heard that sometimes. That it's not super friendly when you are first starting out if you don't know about D&D.
I honestly couldn't say because I have been pen and paper like RPGing for so long.
Yeah.
I just know this stuff, so I can imagine it'd be quite overwhelming, but they do have like...
I've heard some people bouncing off it because...
I can understand that.
Because of like, even though it obviously streamlines how you do character creation and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very easy mistakes to make with character creation that we've all done in pen and paper and gone, wow, I took a bunch of wisdom. That was completely pointless for this character.
I forgot you can also multi-class in this.
Yes.
You can multi-class, which I think is really cool. Multi-class. But yeah, I do think like, because in Divinity Original Sin 2, they did have like an auto level up for NPCs, which I would like to see them add for people who are maybe intimidated by just the sheer amount of numbers and information. But I'd say that's probably one of the biggest like hurdles that I can think of if you've,
I think it's one of those things that I think is always going to be present to some degree in any faithful adaptation of Dungeons and Dragons or a similar system.
I mean, it took me a while to get the hang of like DOS 2 and like, I've been playing tabletop RPGs for a long time, so...
I mean, learning a new system's always a bit of a...
Yeah.
There's always a learning curve.
But yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyed, can recommend. It has the same kind of surface mechanics that DOS 2 did, where... but not the cursed ones that I've seen, thank fuck, because cursed fire can eat a dick. Where, like, you can shoot a water barrel and then electrify it. You can, create poison clouds. There's a grease spell, all that good stuff. So terrain does play quite heavily into it as well. But yeah, I'll stop gushing about it now. There was, speaking of tabletop RPGs, Drummer Matt, did you know that we've been playing Star Wars 5th edition?
I saw on the Twitters. How is it? Who are you playing with?
Yeah.
Answer questions.
Okay.
Talk about it in a podcast format.
Okay, we've been playing Star Wars 5th edition, which is a fan-made kind of like D&D, like Star Wars themed D&D thing. So it's not perfect, but it's got a lot of, I like 5th edition. It's my
heavily reskinned and retooled Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but it's Star Wars.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Okay. And we are playing with our friend Shanus is the DM, and Longfang is playing the Jedi Torconic.
Although we're not supposed to know he's a Jedi.
We don't know he's a Jedi yet. Our friend Hobbitan is playing R4Z2, or Raz, which is a homicidal droid who I love, out of character.
Basically an astromech, the type of thing that R2-D2 is.
But murdery.
But murderous. If you've seen Rebels, basically Chopper.
Yeah. They literally, so we're playing it like through Discord. They have made a soundboard for droid noises. It's incredible. So we're like, what do you think, Raz? And it's this bunch of beeps, and it's like, this is incredible. And the funny thing is, we only realized quite near the beginning of the session that only Longfang's character spoke binary. No one else does, so no one knows what this droid is saying but Longfang. But yes.
I am playing a Trandoshan mercenary. Trandoshan is one of the lizard people, if you don't know what Bosk is. And I'm playing one called Trask.
And I'm playing, this will surprise everyone, a Mandalorian human called Asa Rin. But nobody in the party knows my name. Torconic, we met before we met up in this campaign, and she gave him a fake name of Tani Cass, which you noticed.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, and everyone else is just calling me Mando because I just haven't introduced myself yet because I'm fucking rude. I did get a condescending comment from Trusk being like, "Oh, you should take your helmet off," and I was like, "I'm not doing that," and you were like, "Oh, you're one of them." I was like, "What do you mean one of them?" It was very funny in context. So yeah, should we give you a quick rundown, Drumblebum, of what our first session was like?
Yes, do.
Okay.
So yeah,
Seamus made an actual like intro credit roll, like an intro text scroll.
Like the Star Wars text.
It was. I literally was like, I was grinning like an idiot the whole time. I was enthralled, and then it did the fade down and like fade down from the sky to like the planet.
But yeah, so
that died. It was beautiful.
So we're on the planet of Cantonica, which is where Canto Bight would eventually be built, but we are in the just post early New Republic era. So basically
around 9 ABY.
The same era that the Mandalorian takes place, basically.
Yeah.
And
which is 9 ABY.
Our characters all sort of just kind of find themselves in a market at the same time.
We're in like a black market, just kind of browsing. Ace is looking for literature.
Because my character ended up on Cantonica because them and Raz stumbled into each other because my character basically is like an old mercenary and who got his legs lanced off by a weird vibro blade. And normally Trandoshans can regrow their limbs.
They can.
Because they're lizard people.
Yeah.
He can't from this.
For some reason his legs
For some reason. And due to some other shenanigans with that, it's caused him to have a little bit of a rethink of how he's lived his life.
Well, he's an older dude.
He's an older guy, and he's now got robot legs,
which is pretty cool, actually.
And in the last mission, he'd liberated Raz, so we were there together, and Asa was hanging around looking at romance novels.
No, yeah. The thing about Asa is that she's a romantic at heart. She spent a lot of time bounty hunting on her own, and she basically picked up a taste for romance holos and novels. So she's like pouring through all these old books and stuff looking for something romantic. And I bought what was it Shayna said? The Lusty Trandoshan Mechanic. And I even haggled with the woman. She was like, 3 credits, and I was like, no, this is junk, you don't want this. 1 credit. And she was like, I don't care. Fine, 1 credit, go away. So I got that.
And yeah, so we're all just kind of
Torconic's looking at artifacts.
Yeah, we're all kind of futzing around in the market.
Separately.
Yeah, kind of. Conic comes over to myself and Raz because there's a little bit of a kerfuffle going on because Raz doesn't want to pay the amount of credits for ammo.
Asa, by the way, spends the majority of this entire kind of interaction, like 30 yards away, not noticing these people, and just reading her romance novel and trying to hide it from passers-by.
And then a Wookiee roams into the area that we're in, and is set upon by a group of baddens.
Naughty lads.
Just a group of thugs, and Connacht being, again, we're not supposed to know he's a Jedi, but he's
being a very nice man.
Being a very nice man. Wades into this fight because he can see someone being oppressed by the bad people, and since he's got involved, it kind of ends up dragging us all into it, and
we're all pulling our punches. I only join in unless the second round because I take disadvantage to noticing that there's a scuffle because I'm so enveloped in my romance novel, and we're all firing non-lethal shots except for Raz,
who just fucking murders one guy.
Yeah, it's so the fucking way it went down was so funny. There's like Shayna's like, okay, Raz, what are you doing? Like, okay, I'm firing a shot at this guy. It's like, oh, you mean this guy who's like really looking rough? And they were like, yep. And Shayna was like, is it non-lethal? And Raz went, you already know the answer to that question, and just fucking kills this guy. And we're all like, oh, okay.
Okay, so
the droid's a murderer. That's cool. Okay. Love that.
So the boss of that group runs away.
Yeah, we couldn't quite get him. We down all his dudes, but the boss gets away.
And the Wookiee is now free, and we're like, well, none of us can speak. What's the language? Shriwook. None of us can speak that. So we're like, okay. So we're not quite sure what happened.
Thumbs up.
And then we start hearing gunfire.
Oh no! You forgot the coolest part of the entire campaign.
What?
That Torconic and I do the Predator. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say that. It was really fun.
Oh no, wait! Connacht does wake up one of the downed people to try and get some information out of them. Don't really get that much.
He's just a hired thug, and he says that, oh yeah, this guy came into like the cantina and was like, oh yeah, I've got a
job.
I've got a job. No, what is it? He's like, I've got a bounty puck. Come with me. I'll pay you. And I've got my gun pointed at him, going, I didn't see any bounty pucks for Wookiees. What the fuck are you talking about? No way. And he's like, I'm just a hired muscle.
I just work here.
And I was like, well, I'm going to shoot him. And then Raz is like, probably the nicest thing Raz has ever thought about me, which is probably like, I don't entirely hate her, which I'm going to pretend that's what Raz thought.
But yeah, then we hear some gunfire, and
we hear a bunch of shouting and like weird animal noises coming from the north, and we're like, fuck, okay, so we like, okay, these guys are just hired thugs, they don't know shit, so we're gonna like go and run up. So we run all the way up, and we run into a vicious swarm of porgs, just freaking out. They are flying around all over the place, they're screaming, they're carrying on, there's this potato dudes everywhere. And I'm like,
we're all trying our best, like, because none of us are like...
We don't want to kill them.
None of us really want to kill them, even though a combat has begun. Like, oh, there is a flock of porgs, roll for initiative.
But to be fair, like, yes, we know that like, the porgs just are an unknown creature outside of, like... Oh, I can't remember the name of the planet.
Oh, Acto. And, like, it's literally, like, we find out later that the guy who's selling them is like, oh, we don't even know what these are. They just showed up one day, so... Oh, it's like a ship had crash landed. His mate's ship had crash landed somewhere, and by the time he'd managed to get off the planet, it had been infested with porgs, basically. Yeah, but they don't know what they're called. Yeah. So we're getting attacked. They're basically replicating like tribbles. Yeah, basically. And like everyone's trying to kind of like waft them off. Raz just starts screaming and running through them, trying to disperse them, which doesn't work. I grab one. Yep. And then I get hit in the head by a porg, panicking. And that, my Beskar smacking against my forehead does 2 of my 8 hit points of damage. Yeah, you are like clunk. Ow! At least I have and the porg is trying to get away. Yeah, I'm like, no, I got him. He's my son. I think it was myself and Connacht were able to shrug it off, but I think you and Raz both got mildly Fabio'd. We did. We got Fabio'd by porgs. Then we look up as the swarm starts clearing, and we see 2 mastiffs coming and snapping their jaws at all the porgs, and then they spot us. One of them looks directly at me
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and
shit.
grins, and it's like, ooh. So yeah, and we don't want to hurt the puppies either.
Oh, I fucking did. It was
you were the only one shooting lethally, by the way.
No. There is a chain of events here, which is that.
Listen to him try and justify it.
Because I was the one going first, so I took a shot, whiffed it, used my thing that because Trandoshans have an ability that means that
it's called girls might be watching.
Basically, if you whiff something in front of people because they're so proud, you get like a little bonus that's basically get like to add the amount of people that are around you to like your hit roll.
So you might not whiff it
to see if you don't whiff it. I still whiffed it. And then after that,
no! I got charged by one because it saw me holding a porg, and like it was snapping its jaws at me, and I was like, no, like moving my egg boy away
because they charged at everyone. But then Connacht using his wily force powers.
Using his nice man powers.
Was well, actually, no, it wasn't even that. It's because these are the
oh wait, no, he wasn't using.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. It was
because they're like Tusken Raider.
Yeah, the dog things that Tusken Raiders have, and he can speak
Tusken.
He can speak Tusken, so he just basically was like,
if I scream sit, does it work? And then they sit, and we're like, oh. And then the one in front of me stops biting for my new child that's still panicking.
And so now they're pretty chill, and the person who owns them roams around the corner and is like, "Oh, thank you for calming them down." And I'm just sitting there looking at this laser blast in the wall where I missed, just sitting there like, "Yep, I didn't try and shoot your dogs or anything."
You slowly and like as stealthily as possible put your like blaster away, like, "Oh yeah, you're welcome. We didn't shoot your dogs." And then he's like, "Oh, and like, yes, thank you." Like a guy ran through and just shot the cages open, and my mastiffs went ballistic, and oh my god! And
the weird little bird things flew away.
And I'm literally like, "Can I have this one? I caught him. He's mine. Is that okay?" And the guy's like, "Well, yeah, of course, you can absolutely have him for not hurting my dogs." And I'm like, "Thank you." And at this point, the porg's like, "I guess you're my mum now.
Yeah,
time to go get shots." And he's like cooing in my arms, and I'm like, we're like an hour in, and this is already the best Star Wars adventure ever.
So basically, there was a guy that had run through and I basically let all the things out, and he's like cowering in his shop. So we're like, well, I guess we're involved in this bullshit now. Like my character is grumbling, like, I just wanted to buy ammunition.
And we're like, just come with us, you weird lizard. So we go in, and there's a nice Twilight guy called Aaron. Oh, what's his name?
I forget his name offhand.
I can't remember. It starts with an E. I didn't write it. I don't have my notes next to me.
Because I forgot his name and called him Eric, and it's really close to Eric, and so now I just can't remember his name as Eric, so I've fucked myself.
It's no Steve Blooms, but luckily for the Twi'lek it isn't. And the Twi'lek's like, is it over? And we're like, yeah. Obviously. And like he explains that he was there with his master, and and his master is a Nautolan, like researcher. Like he's
an Arcan ambassador from the New Republic.
Yeah, and he just loves getting learning about things and stuff. And he went to meet with a local oh god, what was he? Like scientist or something.
Yeah, like a researcher.
Like a researcher, and he's like, and he hasn't been back, and I'm scared now because it's like I don't really like this place. It's kind of dangerous, and I kind of like smack Connacht, and I'm like, hey, should we escort him? And being the nice man he is, Connacht's like, yeah, sure, we'll escort you, dude. So we get escorted. We escort him to this big it's like a kind of like a converted factory kind of looking thing. It's like. It probably was a factory at some point, but it looks like someone's kind of living there now. And, we ring the doorbell and nothing happens. So obviously we leave. JK, only kidding. Raz, the psycho droid, defibrillates the door, which actually works and it pops open.
Because Raz doesn't have the scomp link thing to just hack.
So he can't slice it. Can't
R2D2 it.
No.
But it should be noted that I think this is important, that this is a rare time when someone mechanically has a fight with a door and wins first time.
Yeah.
How many times has someone had a fight with a door in D&D and it's gone badly?
Not sure it's ever gone well, has it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
doors are like they are the adventurer's natural enemy.
Whenever you are forced to do something to a door, it will go badly.
Mm-hmm. So we walk in, and it's like we walk in and we're like on this gantry kind of around this kind of like lower floor, and like you can look down into it, and we just walk in, no stealth, no nothing. Who gives a fuck? I've got a porg. I put the porg in my backpack without realizing that I also put the food for the porg in there, and so he basically eats all the food and just falls asleep immediately. Which means he's out of sight, out of mind, out of danger. So I'm happy. We go around. Raz just fucks off with Trask to the far left side of the room, leaving Conic and I to kind of wander along the gantry on the right-hand side. And then we look down into the darkness and we see two pairs of red eyes look back up at us. And there's just these big, like, junker droids that are like, well, we're gonna fucking kill you. So we're like, oh shit, okay. So we're firing down.
I do want to point out that we had the most amazing, like, initiative rolls. Like, I think both you and I...
We got 23
Yeah,
each.
we both got 23.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of good it did me. Because during the fight, I get shot so hard,
You get one shot.
I get one shot. And I'm just like, clunk. Because, you know, I may have Beskar on, but the inside person is very squishy. So I'm going to just take that as, like, the kinetic force just completely knocked me on my ass. So I'm lying down. Conic basically does the Jedi equivalent of lay on hands. And I'm just like, what? Because none of us know he's a Jedi. And Asa hates Jedi. She fucking hates them. So I just get up again. I'm like, okay, well, no, I stay down. And then you guys kill the droids, and then I hear a, Mando, are you okay? From Trask, and I just, on the other side of the banister, I just Terminator to it, and I put a thumbs up, just over the banister. And I'm like, I'm fine. And then, like, after a couple of moments of rummaging, I hold up my
I do actually go, it's like, is your little bird thing alright?
And I'm like, I hold him up, and I go, he's fine. And he's like, he's in a food coma, so he's fine. Which is where the out-of-context picture of me holding up my Christmas porg came from on Twitter.
There we go. It all links.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we find, like, we have a look around, and we examine the junk droids, and they are literally just junk. They are just haphazardly slapped together, kind of...
They smell bad. This is an important
thing. They smell bad
thing.
for some reason. It's really weird. And we find a Bothan, who's just like, oh, thanks, I guess. What? And we figured out that the Nautilin like came here for a bit, but then left, and then
he was taken.
He was taken by thugs who left the Junker droids here, and they were wearing the Black Sun, which is not the Nazi thing. It was the
Black Sun of Star Wars.
The Black Sun of Star Wars, which is basically
crime syndicate.
They're like a cartel kind of thing. But he was like, it was weird though, because all the iconography for the Black Sun cartel was like sloppy, and they didn't seem to behave like it. And this is kind of beneath them. I'm not really sure what they're doing, and it was like, that is pretty weird. Okay.
Yeah, and then we were basically then just given the location of like, here, you should go here to deal with this, and that's where
fucks.
And that's where the session ended.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's cool to play D&D in a very different setting.
It is really fun
because obviously there are Star Wars role playing games that exist.
Yeah,
as you know, and so you could play them, but we're all familiar with D&D already, so it was like it's not a big deal to just.
We already have books for it, and if we just have the kind of like, oh, this means this instead, or whatever, or there's piloting skill, it's like, that's fine.
Yeah, because it's just everything works kind of the same. It's just, things like ammo work a little different, because obviously there's a bit more focus on ranged weapons. And, things like piloting come into it, and things like classes and races are obviously all mixed around, but quite often there'll be a little bit of a soft remix of old things, and sometimes it's just the exact same thing, as in, I'm playing a fighter, because that is like the generic, like, you can make them quite a few different ways, and I wanted to make kind of a sniper character, and that was sort of the best way of doing it. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Oh, nice.
Yes. But yeah, we shall keep you updated.
Okay.
So yeah, that's me. That's everything. So we should get to the questions.
We should get to the questions.
We have one email question.
Yes.
What was the email question?
Some person who I may have closed the notes because I was distracted. I think they were called Ben. Let me check. Ben emailed in, wondering if they could hear the MisanthroPod's opinion, particularly Snipe's, on the new Tyranid models.
I think they're pretty cool for the most part.
I really like them. I would like to get some.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, Ben, if that was a bit... Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people I don't like some of the stylistic elements of them, and I think some of them are maybe a little strange.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But some of them I do really like. There's the... what is the one that's got the waist cloak thing going on that makes no sense, but I actually really like it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So on to the Twitter questions, which I think we're just doing now. Yeah. I think it's easier to have people do this than email in. So.
Okay. So there's not a huge amount of them, so I think we can probably get through all of these. Most of them pretty.
Go on.
Yeah. It's not too many.
Go on. We'll
have a few as a treat. So from Mike Murdoch. It's both Snipe and Wib.
Not Drummer Matt, though. Fuck that guy.
We will extend this question to Matt.
Go to bed, I'm fine.
Do you like anime? And if so, which genres/shows do you enjoy the most and why? I am fine with anime. There are a handful of shows that I have very much enjoyed. I tend to like ones that are... somewhat ridiculous and over the top.
You like Gurren Lagann?
Yeah, you Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill. I enjoyed One Punch Man,
Mob Psycho
100. But I'm not an anime guy either.
Yeah, I tend to have a bit of a problem with a lot of anime because... And this is a generalized statement, but it just, for the ones that I was just I'll give this a watch, it all had kind of things isn't it weird how we all want to fuck our sisters who are 13? Let's talk about that for 2 fucking episodes. And I'm I'm not watching this.
I think
it's fucking terrible.
I think the thing is, I think we both ostensibly...
And I'm not watching Sister Fucker 6,000 animes. I'm just saying it just, that's a lot. And
it is almost definitely a title of an actual one.
That's definitely a visual novel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just I tend to get quite exhausted with that kind of stuff. I really like Dorohedoro because I got a bunch of people being are you Noi? And I'm what? And there's just a character who's got grey hair and a bunch of piercings and is big, tall, and muscular. And I'm I guess I am, actually. Holy fuck. I need to get back on Dorohedoro before they get to the sister fuck episode, hopefully.
I think the big thing is both of us quite like anime, but we both have a very low tolerance to anime bullshit.
Anime bullshit, TM, yeah. I really liked Beastars. I don't like CGI anime when it's that obvious. It's really tedious, and I prefer the manga, really. But I like that, and I haven't probably gotten to the part where, you need to warn people about yet, so that's cool.
That is the big problem. There's always that scene.
Yeah. I really, really love... I grew up on the 90s Sailor Moon anime, which is fucking great. I fucking hate Sailor Moon Eternal. Sailor Moon Crystal, sorry, because it's fucking shit. Because it decides to follow along with the manga a lot, and my biggest problem with the manga is that it's literally just... these are all the same fucking character. They just have different hairstyles. And I'm not talking visually. I'm just saying, just character-wise, they just don't really have any character. Apart from Sailor Venus gets sayings wrong, and Sailor Jupiter is that looks like my ex-boyfriend or whatever. But so genre-wise, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, no, that's, yeah. If there's any satisfying answer from that. Drama, what about you? You're Bible Black.
Well, I was gonna mention Bible Black in the thing just to see if anyone Googles it.
Don't Google it. It's a horrifying, gross porn. Very bad.
I've fallen down a couple of anime holes in the past. Mostly, I watched a lot of Pokemon as a kid, and then at various stages as a grown-up, fell back into it. And I also watched quite a lot of one of the Gundam series. There's Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed
many.
Destiny. I want to say.
I remembered a couple of animes I wanted to talk about liking, which is Blue Exorcist. I really liked.
Oh. I was going to say, because you mentioned that I do really, really like Mobile Suit Gundam, the first one. I keep meaning to try and watch some of the other ones, because I hear there's some very, very good ones. I think the current one that's something about witches in its title, I hear that's really good as well. Like, that's like the current one that's been made.
You mean like, something witch, and then there's like My Hero Academia, which is apparently pretty good.
But that's good.
Oh, yeah. I will say, there was, oh god, what was it called? It was an anime about the Japanese game Karuta, which is like it's like multiplayer poetry. It's okay, I've described it very badly. But it's basically like where two people have like a bunch of cards out in front of them, and it's got lines from a poem written on it, and a person reads out the poem like a third person, and then when the line is being read, you need to smack the card away. It's like, I don't know how they've managed to make something like Karuta so intense, but they did. And honestly, I quite liked what I watched. I just kind of stopped watching it.
What was the one that was the like romance one between the giant guy? My Love Story or something?
My Love Story, which is Ore Monogatari, which is incredible. It is adorable, and I love the anime, and I also love the manga. It's basically about a gigantic kind of like buff dude who's really sweet, he's really nice, and he's got like a token anime boy TM for a best friend called Sunakawa, and he's like, I'm not interested in girls, and like, you know, he flicks his hair and stuff, but Takeo, the main character, who's the big beefy guy, is like just like they're best friends, and like he can't understand why Sunakawa keeps rejecting women, and he's not interested in like, well, girls. And then he like encounters a character called Rinko on a train, and he saves her from like a pervert, like groper, and because yeah, and like he like falls in love with her at first sight, and he's like, oh, she's like this tiny, cute little Japanese girl. She's like really little, and she's obviously his age. It's not weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I've fallen in love with her, but it's okay. And she keeps trying to like be friends with Takeo, and he's like, oh, she's really into Sunakawa, my best friend. You know what? That hurts my heart because I do have feelings for her, but I want them to be happy, and I will do anything I can to make it so that they can be together. And it's really sweet, and it's so cute, and it doesn't have any creepy anime bullshit that I can remember. And I want to watch it again. It's so I forgot how much I love that. And this is where the inspiration for Asa comes from, in case you haven't noticed. But yeah, no, Ore wa Monogatari, or My Love Story. The anime is great. And also, Takeo's parents are the best. His mum is like, they kind of joke because his mum's like, she's like an ex, like, college wrestler.
Yeah.
And his dad's like this really handsome, suave, like huge, like guy. And he's like, I fell in love with her because she was so beautiful and so like kind-hearted. Like she literally carries a woman, like a woman in her, like her kind of like first-time mother group, because they're both like 9 months pregnant, and this other woman's like, oh, my water's just broke, and she's like, don't worry, and she like picks her up, breaks her water, and just runs to the ER with her, and it's like, it's so silly, but it's so wholesome, and it makes me happy, and I love it.
Was there any...
Oh, I'm gushing about it now, oh my god, I'm sorry.
Was there any other ones, Max? You mentioned the Gundams.
Yeah, sorry.
No, the only other animes that I've typically watched is all the various Studio Ghibli Miyazaki films, which are...
Very wholesome.
Yeah, lovely.
Very cute.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Yes, from our DM Seamus, asking what's related to what we're talking about. What do you think is the cutest creature in Star Wars?
Definitely asked with that agenda. Din Djarin. Okay, if Grogu doesn't count...
I mean, he can.
Grogu.
Yeah.
Grogu is my son and I love him.
Grogu, that's fine.
Grogu's the cutest.
I mean, I will say Porgs are right up there.
Porgs are.
I mean, they were designed to be cute.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure they
very,
count.
very close
despite
second.
It being the
just
right
because.
answer.
Okay, designed to be cute, so they don't count. Excuse you. Have you seen the concept?
Lothcats are quite cute.
Lothcats are scary. Actually, I would say no, they aren't cute. They're terrifying.
I think they're cute.
Okay, well you can.
Okay.
Drummer Mutt. I'm sorry, I did not mean to call you a mutt. Drummer Butch, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to say Porgs just because
you can say Poe
like,
Dameron,
but
you can say Finn. He's pretty cute.
If you've ever seen a baby Mon Calamari, they're
just
adorable.
like a little tadpole.
No, this is just they're just a big head, just cute.
What about from the Aardman thingy?
Oh, well, if we're going to bring
mouse droids are fucking adorable.
Mouse droids are pretty.
I like it.
Adorable.
You get the fucking cop mouse droids in Mando season 3, which is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
There's a lot of cute droids.
There's a lot of very cute droids.
Yeah.
Gonk droids are awesome, and Longfang's favorite because they are very cool.
The cutest creature in Star Wars is probably actually Wrecker. So.
Yeah, him baby. Very close to Grogu though. Very close second.
Okay.
But yeah.
From Alex, if you could acquire one old armor cast model, what would it be? Warhound Titan.
I also choose that guy's Warhound Titan.
Yeah, the old resin, the old resin like things that were recreations of the epic models that were all made in the US. We did a whole video about them.
Yeah. Check it out on Snipe and Wood Play on YouTube. We've not been Snipe and Wood Play for 100 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no.
Huh?
Yeah, when was that the right thing?
Shut up.
It's been a long time.
Fucking years, dude.
But yeah, no. Yeah, it would be the Warhound with its goofy dog face.
It's a goofy goober.
Anyone else have a particularly strong opinion?
Yeah, I go with you.
I'd get one of those and give it to you.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Like, I'm generally not. I'm not like the biggest like fan of like models just being big. It doesn't do much for me. So like when people talk about like like the dream of owning a Titan, like I don't really care. The biggest ones I would entertain is a Warhound because I just really like how they look, but their size is kind of irrelevant. It's one of the reasons why I've been really looking forward to the whole.
The biggest model I'd have is a scythed Pterodule. A scythed Pterodule. Love them. Love to have one day. A scythed Pterodule.
Like, I mean, I have got like I have got a shadow sword, and like that sort of like size is about as big as I really care to go for the most part. But I would make the exception for the armor cast Warhound because there's just something a little special about like that era of goofy designs I quite like. From Albion Merrick, this is for all of us, what would be our favourite sci-fi setting to actually live in during peacetime?
Nice. That's a very good addition to that question. Okay, can I start?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so initially you go Firefly, but it's literally it's Brexit in space.
Yeah.
And then I go Prospect, because that movie is a piece of my soul. And I go, no, it's basically the Industrial Revolution in space, plus Brexit.
Yep.
I just want to go there and hold hands with Ezra.
Yeah.
So I would say Star Wars.
Star Wars
and shock everyone.
In a peacetime thing, Star Wars is a solid answer.
Because then, like, I'd just be I'd be a fucking moisture farmer on Arvala 7 and I'd fucking hate my life. But I could pretend I could have force powers. I would try it now. Like, you know when you're lying on the couch? Everyone has done this at least once and tried to see if they have, like, Jedi powers and it's been like, can I get the remote? No, fuck, I have to stand up. Great, love that. But yeah, I think Star Wars is probably the most well-rounded, especially because it's so vast that you can find like a place that you would be comfortable and happy to live in. There'll be a planet for you.
Yeah, I think like my gut tells me that Star Trek would be the obvious answer for me.
That'd be a better one than Star Wars. I think.
But I've got to say there is something just a little more alluring about the Star Wars universe. I don't know what it is. Even though objectively I would have a better time in in like the Star Trek universe. I feel there is just something about the Star Wars.
Well, okay, let me posit this.
If
If you are so desperate to have a thing different from me, I posit this caveat: you have holodecks in Star Trek that you can go in and pretend to be Obi-Wan.
Okay, yeah, fair,
whoever.
okay.
So you could just do that. Go. How's that?
Okay.
Drama, but what about you, darling?
I feel like living on the Citadel might be fun. Mass Effect Citadel.
Oh, and you just want to do mouth kissing with an Asari or a Hannah. I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, I think in peacetime when it's not being blown up and such, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I get that. They also said, like, as an aside, our music podcasts and videos have helped them get through being hospitalised. With something that sounds very nasty.
Enteritis and sepsis. Holy shit, Albion. Ooh. Well, we are sending you all of our love and hugs and well wishes, and hope that you feel better real soon because you're awesome.
Yeah, I hope you by the time you hear this, you're doing a bit better.
Yeah.
Next, we have a question from our friend Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
This is a music question.
Oh shit.
Which is, how the fuck do you strum some strings but not others when playing chords on a guitar? That skim
on a
over
drum
strings. You can play chords on lots of instruments.
I'm being silly.
It's not. She's asking if it's magic. It's not magic.
It's just an annoying amount of practice. It'll take you about 6 months, dear.
Usually, what you do, or at least when it's an explicit thing where you are not supposed to hit the string anyway at all, is that you lightly mute those strings with like whatever finger is sort of nearby. Like say, if you're needing to mute your low E string, and you're fingering a chord underneath that, just the very top of one of your fingers can just rest on that string lightly enough to mute it.
Yeah, if you're just doing that, then like, especially if you're playing amped, you won't be able to hear like a bit of a thunk when you hit it at all. But yeah, instead of like it fully ringing out, it's just kind of keeping a gentle finger on it.
Yeah, it's just a thing you kind of just get used to over time. There isn't really a quick like trick to it. It's just
unfortunately, it's not a very satisfying answer, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do what I did, and then when I was back being a guitarist back in days, the sort of music we had, I just didn't ever need that. Do you call it a low E string or high E string? The thinnest one? Because you said low E string, but did you mean the thin one, or did you mean the?
I meant the one that's the lowest note.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Because I've often heard people refer to that as your like bottom E string and your top E string as being the thin one, even though that's the opposite way round to what they actually are on the guitar. And so I thought I'd just use its note to denote it, because that always confuses me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair. But I just took that string off.
Okay, we are no longer taking recommendations from Drummer Matt.
And then the machine head and peg started rattling because there's no tension on it. So I just took the machine head, the whole thing off as well.
Oh my god! And then like your headstock was feeling wonky, so you just fucking removed that as well.
Oh, I was young.
Really?
The thing is,
2 weeks ago.
If you're not using it, like, to be fair, I barely use those. If it wasn't for playing ska and therefore needing the bottom strings for doing that, like, I don't use them for much, I'll be honest.
I mean, yeah, don't do what I did. It messes with your like neck tension and
it's
not a good idea for many reasons.
No, it's not. But we're laughing at Drummer.
It was easier than learning how to mute a string when you try to do a chord.
But yeah, it's all about like it's all about building up muscle memory and also strength in your fingers to like be able to hold positions that are more nuanced. And it's just something that will just come over time.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. From Salamander, thoughts on just chicken and mayo sandwiches?
If you don't have lettuce in there, just don't fucking eat the sandwich. What are you doing? You've wasted 2 things.
I'm not the hugest fan of mayo. I can deal with it when there's a few other things going off there. So I'm sort of like...
I do heavily seasoned chicken as well.
I'm feeling very... I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other.
I mean, if you want that, that's fine, but I would not eat that, personally. If you're going to have chicken and a condiment, I would recommend chicken shredded up and hot chicken gravy poured over it as a sandwich. That's fucking delicious.
What's your opinion on this controversial topic, Matthew?
I mean, it's fine, but Yeah, it would be better with lettuce in it, or some tomato, or something.
Lettuce,
as well.
tomatoes, maybe a bit of cheese.
Bit of bacon if you're feeling really naughty.
Or bacon bits if you're being real cheeky.
But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just, it's not much effort to make it better.
Yeah.
But I guess if you don't like lettuce, fine, you do you.
Yeah.
Okay. Another food-related question from Hans the Dragon, which is, how do you make your favourite hamburger?
How do I make my favourite hamburger? Hamburguesa.
Just
Mi hamburguesa favorita.
throw it in a pan.
Go to the pub.
Go to the pub, and then you storm into their kitchen, fuck up their fucking.
This is all. It's actually a thing I'm working on currently because I'm a really picky eater and I always have been. Fancy burgers have always just felt like a waste to me because I
I think there's a level of fancy when you get to the thing where you can't wrap your mouth around it. I think you're just being a twat. I'm not talking to people eating them. I'm talking to people making them.
But there's like so much in them that I don't like, and I'm like having to make a conscious effort like these days to like try things that to like sort of force myself past my initial I don't really like that, because sometimes I do like them when they're in a different context.
I would say, like,
I've only just recently got into like having more fancy burgers, so I am the worst person to ask.
I would say, when it comes to that, good on you. Also, I think that a rule of thumb I have with food is that, like, I'd say probably about the majority of the food that you think you don't like, you just haven't had cooked properly.
This is often true.
So but there are some things that you just cannot stomach.
Fucking hate the texture of tomatoes.
Yeah, that's fine. I like tomatoes on burgers, but the thing is, it's like when you have a bit of stringy bacon on a sandwich, and you take and it just kind of pulls everything out of the sandwich with the string, and it's just like, oh, fuck off, tomato. That's kind of how I feel. Oh. But yeah, I like heavily. I like seasoning a lot. I like to season my burgers. I like Wagyu burgers from Sainsbury's. Because they are fucking delicious.
They are really nice.
They are really good.
Yeah.
Salt, pepper, onion powder, maybe a bit of chili powder if I'm feeling literally spicy. Cheese, Romani lettuce. Yeah.
Good, a good classic burger there.
Yeah, and I don't always have the lettuce
because dramatically undercook it as well.
Oh yeah, I like it scored like see it on the outside and quite red, but like Wib, bless him.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. I can't.
I have my steak rare.
Some part of my brain, even though I know it's fine, when I have meat that is still a bit red, some part of my brain screams at me and is like, "No, you shouldn't be eating this." And it means that even if it tastes fine, your
brain's freaking out.
Some little anxiety trigger gets set, so I can't eat that.
I tend to, like, when I cook burgers for us, I score the outside, and then I tend to leave it slightly pink in the middle for you.
Yeah, you tend to leave mine on a little bit longer than yours for that reason.
Yeah, I leave yours on for a bit longer.
Thank you.
That's okay. That's okay. I was thinking about making empanadas, and then I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna have so many empanadas to eat on my own because you won't eat them. I made that queso dip, and you and Ruth had like shared it with me because Wib was like, no.
We dipped normal things in it, and then we dipped not normal things in it. It was fine.
What did you dip in it?
Sausage rolls.
Sausage roll.
Did you dip some chocolate in there?
No.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was.
It was an Oreo. It was like an Oreo.
Oh no, wasn't it one of those the cornflake, like where it's like covered in chocolate and stuff?
Oh no, I got brownies.
It was brownies.
I bought brownies.
Yeah. I think you dipped a brownie in there.
Yeah, and then you were like, I regret this. Because it was like when you ate ketchup and chocolate ice cream, and you were like, the flavors have separated, and both of them are terrible. Even though you like both of them.
Yeah, that was on the podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
I do not remember which episode.
Yeah, but yeah, Drummer Bum. Apart from how do you like a burger made for you?
Pink, nice and pink.
Juicy.
Yeah.
If I don't have a bloody roll, I'm gonna be mad.
Pretty classic, to be honest. Just a bit of cheese, bit of salad, lettuce. Sometimes like a bit of coleslaw-esque stuff in there as well.
I had a sandwich with coleslaw in it the other day.
Yeah,
the other day. It was barbecue chicken and coleslaw. And I actually quite liked it. It had some capsicum in it, which made me angry. But apart from that, it was pretty good. But yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
Thanks, Hans. Now we're all hungry.
Okay. Quick question here from Inaction. Do you still have the PO box set up for donating old Warhammer books and whatnot? We currently do not.
When we do, we will announce it. We've been meaning to do it like this year, but everything's been a bit fucky, so we just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, I don't know if you do not live. I don't know if you live in the UK, but everything is stupidly expensive here because this country is on fire and disappearing into the ocean.
Yeah, Turf Island is really kicking the fuck off.
It's fucking awful here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we do aim to open it again at some point, but it is just not currently open.
It's not financially viable.
I
feel this is probably directed towards me.
I think this is directed at you, which is from Bin Monster, which is asking, what happened to your hair?
Got cancer! Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he's talking about the GIF you used. But it's doubtful.
It might be related to the GIF, because it is a picture of George H.W. Bush from The Simpsons, where his hair's all messed up.
Yeah, so that's a joke from The Simpsons, but I got cancer. I'm better now. And I've got a full head of hair now, and it's pretty cool because I can imagine because like some people didn't know I was wearing a wig, in some of our videos, and they were like, "Oh, your hair looks really nice down. You should wear it down more often." And I'm like, "That is adorable."
It's very down, as in it's on the side now.
Yeah, my Din Djarin piggy bank is wearing it.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking.
Okay, we'll ask one. This is the one last question we have.
Okay.
Which is from Seamus.
Hello.
Asking, what's the comfiest outfit for a warm and rainy day?
A willing sub.
What, like, wear them like a pair of trousers or like a jumper or?
Oh no, you have one on each hand. Keep your hands warm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I find that to be one of the more annoying things to.
I hate dressing for a warm and rainy day.
A warm and rainy day is an annoying one.
Fuck off, because I'm like I have horrifying memories of going and fucking around in the Glasshouse Mountains as a child in fucking like yellow like plastic raincoat with my yellow Wellingtons and just everything sticking to me and just overheating and then being really upset. And then my father trying to like move me, and I'm like, no, I want to sit on the rock, Daddy. And then I sat on the rock, and then I just threw off my raincoat, and it was awesome. That's a very visceral response.
I think the closest
I'm
I can
staying
come...
the fuck inside because there is no way to have a comfy outfit for a warm and rainy day. Because fuck warm and rainy days, they're stupid.
Because you can't wear a big sexy raincoat.
No. I went to the gym the other day and it was really warm and rainy to the point where the rain felt warm. I was in like moisture wicking clothes apart from my hoodie. And I was like, this is the worst day of my life. And I've had cancer. I'm allowed to make that joke, although I feel shitty about it.
Just wear a t-shirt and have an umbrella. That's
just a t-shirt. We want you flying, like, genitals on full display. That's the best outfit.
I mean, dealer's choice on the bottom half of your body, I guess.
No, has to be fully naked. But you can or cannot wear shoes.
Do you have any recommendations for this highly specific question, Matthew?
Anorak.
A Cadillac?
An anorak.
Anorak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or not, depends what you're doing. Warm, rainy days are fun days to go out for a run. In which case, there's where, like...
I think it really depends on the kind of warm rain, because if it's just, like, generally warm, like, there are times when you go out and, like, if the rain is quite cool, then it can be really nice just be out in the rain whilst it's, like, warm, but the rain's cool. Whereas if the rain's also warm, then you can get really overheated really easily.
I get overheated really easily anyway. And, like, I left the gym the other day, and it was that really hot day. And it was, like, really sunny and overbearing, and then suddenly black sky. And it was just pouring with rain. And I went out after, like, being really gross and sweaty in the gym, and it was just cool rain. And I was just like, oh! I nearly walked into a few people because I was just kind of like head up in this, like staring at the sky, like not like fully main character, like falling to my knees in the street in the rain and screaming.
You didn't look like you were from Platoon.
I did not.
You were not Willem Dafoe in Platoon.
I wish I was, but no, I was not.
You could have his upsettingly large penis. Reportedly upsettingly large penis.
You know, Pedro Pascal interviewed him once.
Did he talk to him about his upsettingly large penis?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll never know, because you'll never watch that fucking
I
interview.
will not know.
I have. No, they were in The Great Wall together.
Oh, yeah. Which is a movie that exists.
It is. By one of Pedro Pascal's favourite directors of all time. Because he's a fanboy.
Anyway, that is all the questions.
Tovar. And pero means butt in Spanish.
Okay.
That is all the questions. Thanks, everybody.
That is all the questions. I hope that us talking about rain and food was what you came here to listen to, because that's what you got.
Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, so thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We shall be back in another month or so. And has anyone else got anything they want to say before we say goodbye?
No.
No?
Yeah. Just bye.
I will get drunk with your mothers. Well, I'll get your mothers drunk. Yeah. Complimentary, not creepy.
Do you want someone to bother your mother?
Is your mother buttered?
Oh, is your mother buttered?
No, I've mixed those up. Oh. Would you like us to assign someone to worry your mother?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Excuse me.
This is all a terrible, a terrible mix-up and makes no sense.
Much like the other 142 episodes of this fucking podcast.
This is true.
Yeah, but thank you for listening, everybody. And until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Goodbye.
Why?
Say goodbye.
Bye.